higher level view of both World Mosaic and Perspectives, the art curriculum that Nasco has partnered with Art Class Curator. And today with me from Art Class Curator is Jennifer Easterling. And so I'm going to let her start off with both curriculums and chatting with that. We'll talk a little bit about the art making because we know that's so important. And we want this to be fully interactive. So please, by all means, type questions that you have, or if you want to see something over again, just join in with us and we'll do our very best to get everything answered. So with that, I will let Jen take over and tell you all about the two curriculum.
Hi everyone, thanks for joining us. Let me get my screen up real quick and we can take a look. All right, so like Chris said, my name's Jen Easterling, and I am the curriculum coordinator with Art Class Curator. I was in the classroom for 11 years and taught through the pandemic in the spring, and so that's always I was in there in the trenches with you guys, so I get it. It's been interesting, but now I am writing full time and really loving it. And so we're so excited about this partnership with Nasco, where we've come out with our new curriculums that are Perspectives and World Mosaic. And if you know anything about Art Class Curator, if you've heard about us, we provide lots of resources for teachers. Cindy Ingram is the founder and CEO, and what started is she was looking for certain resources to help kids connect better with art and wasn't finding them. So she started writing her own, and it's really grown from there. So you can see some of the things that we produce. So, but today we're going to concentrate on Perspectives and World Mosaic. Both of them are full year-long curriculums. One is concentrated on K-5. The other one is more of an Art 1, 9 to 12th grade type of range. So before we do that, we all know that art is really important. And we know that it's more than a craft, it's a creative outlet. And we understand that kids need that so much right now. But what we want is to help others see that people learn so much more from looking at art. It's a higher order thinking, respect, the self-understanding, connections, focus, empathy, awareness, curiosity, wonder, visual literacy. All that is built into an art class, and it helps develop the entire student and not just one aspect. And it plays into their social emotional skills and problem solving, helps them connect with their community, with themselves, with the world, all that. So we know now more than ever that students need art. They need to look at it, they need to make it, and they need to connect with it. So if you'd like that poster, we've got, you can go to our website at artclasscurator.com/poster and download that one for free. And we'd love for you to print it and hang it so that you can share this with people too. So looking at art, again, it provides so much more than what we might think. That it promotes good health and satisfaction and can reduce lower rates of anxiety and depression, improves critical thinking skills. And that's a highly valued skill today, especially with some of the jobs out there now that
Yes.
we didn't have in the past. So it also helps students gain tolerance and historical empathy. It can even lower cortisol and increase dopamine. So there's all kinds of research out there of how important art looking actually is and how it can help students in so many ways, but not just students, but anybody. And so we're going to dive in more to that. So we really like this quote that art changes people and people change the world. And I think as a teacher, you fully believe in that, which we do too. So that's, we understand the power of art and how it can change kids. And we know that kids are our future. So pulling those connections together. So like I said, at Art Class Curator, we really believe in this idea of art connection. of how it can connect everybody and really elevate the classroom. So by looking at art, you are connecting with the student's connecting with you. It connects it back to their art making and even, the artwork itself. So they're all interconnected. A lot of people like to say art appreciation, but we prefer art connection because it's teaching that how can you connect this and bring it back to your world and really hang on to it. We also like to pose the question about what do you want your students to remember 20 years from now? And most of the time we don't get an answer that's, how to shade a cube or a sphere or something like that. It's more along the lines of, you want them to connect with art so that they will appreciate it and enjoy it all of their life. And so that is what we model all of our lessons and things around in order to build that art connection among all these things. So the first curriculum that we're going to take a look at is World Mosaic. So this is our K-5 curriculum, and it's built for an entire year, and it's focusing on art all around the world. And so with this, there are 7 units per grade, so 42 total units. And we look, like I said, at things, places all around the world. So you have North America, South America, Europe, Asia, Oceania, Middle East, and Africa. And we have it split into 7 units. So each grade level touches on art from those different places around the world. And within that, there are all kinds of cross-curricular connections, social-emotional skills, and then it even combines into the art connection and the art making. So all that's built into this curriculum. So here's just a sampling of the different artworks that the students look at throughout the year. And this is across all the grade levels. We just took a wide variety, a sampling of what they see. So these are not specific to one grade.
And such a great view of just time periods,
Right.
different cultures, some diversity, all, you're just going to get a really well-rounded set of art so that everybody's going to be able to connect.
Right, right. So we don't go chronologically. It's more looking at the part of the world and the amazing things that they're creating and then connecting it back to the student. So in each unit, you have a lesson plan with an overview. They're all fully aligned to the standards. For the national standards, we have gone in and created connections or alignments with state-specific standards for states that we know about that really prefer theirs over the national standards. If we don't have it already, we can always create that for you pretty quick. I'm getting to know those standards backwards and forwards. And the great thing, though, is that pretty much the entire curriculum touches on all of the national standards. And even with the state ones, there are a few that are extremely state specific, like studying artists from South Carolina specifically. We don't tie into that because we're looking more at the broad, but that's really easy to tie in.
And yeah, and I was just going to say, because of the framework in which you do things, a lot of the activity sheets and the discussion guides, absolutely, you can use those in your state specific or even school specific or city specific, art. You can easily take a piece of art and use the framework in it, and which makes it so flexible.
Very, very. So, and also with that, we feature an anchor artwork with each lesson. And so then you have 42 artworks from around the world, and we include art information and discussion questions so that you can have a discussion around that artwork. You have vocabulary list, supply list, and Nasco has created these awesome kits so that if you want to do this lesson, Nasco, you say, I want this lesson, or I want the kit that goes with it, and they've got it all set, or you can, they've got it set for the entire curriculum. So it makes it super, super easy. There's also a supply list. I said that lesson sequence. PowerPoints that you can share with your students, show them the artwork, different activities, that sort of thing. And within each unit, there are multiple activities, including all the worksheets and handouts you might need. So if we thought it would be helpful for you to have a handout or a worksheet for the kids so you didn't have to create anything, we made one for you as an optional, optional to use. And then there's an artwork inspired project with a wide range of materials. And then they always come back to a reflection activity. So we'll dive into each of these a little bit more as we go. But everything we built around this idea of engage, create, and reflect. So we want to engage the students, we want them to create, and then we want them to reflect on what they did and really internalize it. Go ahead, Chris.
Yep, and I'm so sorry. Forgive me for interrupting. The more and more I learn about the curriculum, and in doing all of these, the more excited I get, because the engage, create, and reflect carries on into other subjects as well. Now, certainly when you say create, you're not making art in all your other subjects, but you are creating the work. You are, whether it's, you're writing in language arts, or whether, it's story problems in math. And so you have this opportunity to sort of learn this process. And for younger students, they're going to take that all the way through high school and beyond.
Exactly. So it goes far beyond just, this framework. It helps them learn, across school. So Chris, there was a quick question about kits. How many were they created for? How many students were they created for?
Most of them were created with about 24 students in mind. I think we went with what like the average was at the time.
And then you can easily add on however many more things that you need.
And Linda, also in terms of, can you get kits for 95 students? What I would say, the answer is yes. NASCO absolutely does kitting, and we custom kit as well. So it's one of those things where if you want it to go with the Art Class Curator program, you'll take a look at the kit. Maybe you decide, like, I don't need 24 scissors and I don't need 24 of some certain things because you're well stocked. So we might be able to customize it as well.
Great. Regarding the scope and sequence, I was trying to think, we may not have a document just yet on it, but we can have that for you if you would like it. Just email Chris and we can work that out. All right, so sampling of the engagement activity. So we really like to get the kids up and moving so they're not just sitting and looking at a work of art. We want to get them, we want it to be interactive so that they're engaged and having fun with it. So these are just a quick sample of some of the activities. We wrote poetry, there are word webs they create, you play games like Would You Rather, there's scavenger hunts, they write stories, sometimes from like the perspective of the character or somebody in the artwork or their own thoughts and feelings about it. They put their body in the pose of the artwork and stand and discuss what it feels like. There's complete the picture. And there's even books that you can read to your students about the artworks or somehow related to the artworks and tie that in, and many, many more. Like I said, there's 42 lessons and each one has multiple activities. Then we always have a discussion component as a part of that engage, because we like the kids to be able to talk about it and be able to get them thinking and discussing and be able to do it in a safe environment where there's no right answer, but there's also no wrong answer. And so, getting them more confident. And with this, we do provide training on for the teacher on how to lead better discussions. So that is included in the curriculum. We also give them a little bit of info about the artwork and then, guide them into even more discussion and deeper thinking. Then we also have PowerPoints with the image so that you can share that with your kids and get them looking and discussing. So this is a sample of what we might do, and this is Angelica Kaufman, and you can see there's a wide variety of questions that go with this artwork. And you can always add in your own and see, or have kids submit questions, or push it, but we provide you a good base to get things rolling. So they're open-ended. You've got social emotional learning connections, visual analysis, cross-curricular connections, and then even personal connections. And so like I said, we just really want the kids to start thinking about it and be able to connect with the artwork in some way. It's not about liking it necessarily. They can like it, they can love it, they can hate it, but what are they taking away from it? How are they connecting with us? How are they going to remember, that they've seen it and somehow had some kind of emotional response with it? And so here is just a sampling of the worksheets or handouts that we include to go with the activities. So again, you can see it's a wide range of all kinds of different activities. So it's not the same thing over and over again. Maybe some of the same process where you're engaging the kids and you're creating and you're reflecting, but it's never exactly the same way. So it's a big mix. Lots of variety. We have a sample unit. So this is a first grade activity, I believe, that goes with ancient Egyptian mummies. And so they create a comic strip for it. They design their own cat mummy, and then they create their own paper mache mummy. And this is an example kindergarten activity with our precious William that I think we've all adopted as our mascot now. We just love little William. So the story behind him goes is that people in the museum started asking him questions. He's from ancient Egypt, and they started asking him questions, and then the museum would encourage kids to listen for his answer. And so we have the kids, it's become a tradition. So they have the kids write William a question, and then listen for his response and see what he says.
Jen, in this particular case, I've been meaning to ask this question, and so let me just ask it live in a webinar. Is because this one is dated 1961 to 1878, was it restored in 1961? Do you know?
So it's BC, it's before, so it works time kind of works backwards. So once you go,
gotcha. So that isn't a time period. Gotcha.
Right.
I saw so I thought maybe it was they thought that they what is it, carbon dated it or something. And so I thought that was giving some sort of time span. Look at what a dork. So they're thinking that's the time period it was created.
Right, because it was found in a tomb.
And in this case, they don't know the artist because it was found.
Right. They did do some restoring on him later, or more recently, in the past however long. But they purposefully left places that they didn't make it match exactly, so you can see exactly what was restored and what was original. So in different shots, you can kind of see on his leg where there was a cut. There's a little kind of jagged line. And the thought process behind these little figurative animals, because they found several of them in tombs, is that they were put in there as protection, but hippos were thought of, they're very powerful animals, and so they would they symbolize power. So if I remember correctly, he was placed with somebody to represent that power, but then hippos are also responsible for a lot of deaths, or were, because they're rather dangerous. So they broke his legs off so that in the afterlife he couldn't actually hurt anybody, but it still represented that power, if I remember correctly.
Thank you very much on that. That helps tremendously. And I also had read some of the part about the dangerous hippos because William looks pretty cute. Question on the handouts: do they come in a digital form that works with Google Classroom? And then do we access this online? So yes, they are delivered digitally. You can send it to a student digitally, but they can't fill them out on the computer at this point in time.
So
And
I'm gonna jump in real fast. So what I would do with Google Classroom is I would upload it as an attachment and the student can download it, fill it out, save it, and then re-upload it.
Say that again. You download it as an attachment.
Well, as the teacher, I upload the Word document in an assignment.
Gotcha.
And then the student can download it as a Word document on their computer, fill it out, save it, and then re-upload it.
Perfect.
So,
and we'll talk a little bit how this curriculum is delivered. It's a subscription. And so we'll talk a little bit about the cost and how it's delivered to you at the end.
Great. So then we also have, moving on. So we have the create component. So that's also incredibly important. We know creation is an incredible part of art class. And so there's always that creation component where the students take what they've looked at, they take their experiences and then put that into their artwork and then create their own work. So you usually have a big idea or a theme or mood, looking at the function, the content, the subject matter, the media, and then also elements and principles of art. So this is a sampling of all the different types of projects. And you can see there's foam and calligraphy and felting. Yep, there's Chris's example.
Always got to show my example. Real proud of it, except I have a different pair of glasses on this time.
Yeah, that's out of the 5th grade, isn't it? And
yes, that one was
self-portrait, and you layer words. Yes, and we did these great mobiles. These are my little pieces from my mobile that went with the Angelica Kaufman lesson. And you create a mobile. You have radial symmetry. You do wearable tunics, animals, collages, cut paper portraits. So it's a wide variety of materials and processes that you use. And the great thing about this is they're all flexible. So if you want to adjust how the project is done, you are more than welcome to. So it can fit into what you already have, like your structure or whatever supplies you already have in your room. Then then we move into reflection. So we always want the kids to come back and think about what they looked at, what they made, why they did it, really analyzing that process and think about, working with others to give good feedback, to be able to take feedback and, encourage each other. But this is just a sample of the different kind of reflection activities we have. We have parent share, you present a wearable artwork and then have a fashion show about it. You write stories or legends. You look at different emotions and sort them and label them. The visual analysis games, students create rhymes and songs. They can even write an artist statement, have different voting on the silliest, scariest, and then even plan their own exhibit.
I like how you talked about both in the activities and on the reflections that sometimes you would post these sheets right in the hallway so that administration and parents could see that, yep, we make great fun things in art and we create, but we also do the reflection and utilize lots of other writing skills and
right. Yeah, I would a lot of times I would take hang their artwork and then put their reflection, hang it beside it. So the visitors, parents, teachers, admin, anybody could see, the farther, how we're taking this farther and what the kids were thinking. Regarding the time element of these projects, it's really up to you. Like I said, there's 7 units across each grade. So you can take as much time or as little time. If you want it to be a longer project, you can add in, you can add in more if you need it to be shorter. You can shorten it. So there's lots of activities to be able to make it a longer unit, but you can also take them out to make it shorter. So it's made to be flexible to fit into your time frame and how your classes are structured, whether you meet once a week or once every few weeks or whatever that is. So it's built to be flexible for you. All right. Any other questions real fast about mosaic before we jump into perspective?
Do we have chat? Put something in the chat if you are if you represent high school as well. We'll tell you a little bit about it too, just because it is nice. If you are at elementary or middle school level, you're probably going to lean towards the mosaics. It's written for elementary, but mosaic absolutely will work at sixth, seventh, and eighth grade level. You're just going to ramp it up to your students' maturity level. And the nice part about the activities are that the conversations are going to be at their level because they're just that. But some of it you might have to, bring up or down a notch based on what it is. You can choose from perspectives if you are from middle school. It's just a little bit more mature content, absolute, all safe artwork. Maybe a little, some of them might have a little bit more darker tones,
Yeah.
but no nudity at all.
Right, right. And the nice thing about perspectives is there are tons of additional artists that if you don't like the main ones that we suggest and then that you use, we have a huge list that you can choose from and pull one of those instead. So again, it's also made to be flexible with what you already teach and how your classroom is set up. So with perspectives, we designed it more for an Art 1 type of class. So this could, I did several of the activities and projects, looked at all the artwork with my 7th and 8th grade, and they did fine with it. But again, and then I even ramped it up with some of my AP kids. So it's more pushing the project aspect for their level. And so it's made to be flexible for you, but it is a thematic approach. So we took and broke it down into 10 themed units. So our goal was to create this very cross-curricular connections and those social emotional life skills. So you have a lot of that already built in, that they're making these connections and they're working on that social emotional skills and don't even realize it. But it's all built through the themes. But we really dive into deep learning and creativity and really push in their artistic skills. So with all of this, we're bringing together art history, art appreciation, which like I said, we like to say art connection over art appreciation, and look at the art making. It's very comprehensive and it engages them, trying to create those meaningful experiences that they'll remember and take away and be able to apply to their life. And lots of thought-provoking activities, discussions, and it's kind of an idea-centered project with lots and lots of different media. All right, so our approach to this is, like I said, we've got a lot of social emotional learning built in, lots of critical thinking, art across time and culture. So again, we're looking at a wide variety of artists across all kinds of time periods and cultures, and modern and ancient, historical. I mean, like we're looking at a lot of it and lots of compare and contrast. So if we look at one new, we try to look at something old and vice versa, and how can we, bridge that gap across everything. Lots of student voice within all of perspectives. It's really putting it back on the student and how can they use their voice to create meaningful artwork. And it's extremely flexible for the teacher. And we've also structured it so with the projects, they can be structured or they can be choice-based. So trying to make it can easily fit into however your class is structured and what would work best for you and your students. So these are the themes that we chose for perspectives. You've got why art matters, the sketchbook, what students see, human experience, identity, community, natural world, cultures, communication, and the power of voice. And here is a sampling of the wide variety of artworks that we look at. And you can see we have a digital artist who's from China. She does a really amazing work that all has to do with her. In the middle, we've got graphic style ones where there's writing incorporated. You've got ancient, you've got ready-mades, you've got quilting, you've got paintings and bronzes and all kinds of things. So this is just a sample. And this is a sampling of the main artists that we look at throughout the curriculum in some of the different cultures. So if we have cultures and we have artist artwork. So if we didn't know the specific person, we just attribute to the culture. All right, so within each unit, we have lesson plans that again are aligned to the national standards. You got objectives, flexible duration of time, vocabulary words, supply lists, and suggested supply lists, and then lesson sequences of how, if we want to follow this, this is how we suggest, but again, it's flexible, so you can play with that. You have a PowerPoint with all of the artworks on them. You have, if there's activities, there's info about the artist itself. There's maps showing where or around the world the artwork or the artist is from, connecting, kind of looking at on a bigger scale where everybody is from making art. And yeah, activities and anything that we thought would be helpful for you, and they are editable. So if you want to add more or take away, you can do that. We feature two anchor artworks within each unit. And this is what I was talking about with Chris, is that, if you aren't really feeling one of the artists that's an anchor that's featured, that we have lots of lists of alternatives that you can use. There's classroom discussion guides that talk about the artwork, the anchor artwork, with talking points and questions and bios on the artist, just to help you and guide you. Or you can give it to the students too, and they can use that to kind of, if you want them to discuss with each other. Lots and lots of student activities, worksheets and handouts. Then you have a theme inspired project that is directed or choice-based. So again, that's up to you and how that fits in. We have project planning guides to help the students kind of get an idea of what they're doing and where they want to go, start planning, brainstorming, and then where they want to go from there. And then always a reflection activity. So again, bringing it back to them. What did you do and why did you do it? And how did you address the idea? And, what are you going to take away from this? And, that kind of thing, because we really want them to, again, internalize it. And then many other additional resources.
Jen, there is not a rubric by grade level, is there?
Not by grade level.
Okay.
All right, so with the perspective, since it's geared toward older students, we add in a couple more things with our framework. So we have curate, discuss, engage, extend, reflect. So this idea of curating, you're collecting all of these artworks, you're giving them and exposing them to all kinds of artworks from around the world. Then they're discussing it, talking about it, starting to think about it. Then you engage them with different activities. You extend it with art making and taking everything that you've learned and discussed so far, and then put it back into your own personal art making, and then reflecting on what you did and how you did it, and what the artist did, and pulling that all together. So here's a sample. We're going to look at the identity unit. So you can see this is just a quick snapshot of the entire lesson plan. So this one's 7 pages. All the lesson plans are between like 7 and 10 pages, and a lot of it's additional resources for you. And so all the research is done for you.
Yes, that is extremely impressive how much resources are in the perspectives.
And then different activity choices. So you can see we've got it set up in kind of a flow, but according to what works for your schedule and your students, that can easily be adjusted to fit the needs of your students in your classroom. Here's an example PowerPoint, and this is not all the slides from this particular PowerPoint. This was just a sampling of them, because there is a whole other artist that we look at in different parts of the world. But you can kind of see it's all based around this identity. And we have a really great artist that explores her own personal identity. This amazing Buha from China and her digital art. It's really, really fascinating. And so looking at that, getting the kids to talk about it, and then exploring the idea of, your ideal self. And then they write a poem and they look at how other artists address identity and they discuss it. And then they go into, oh, before we do that, we have engagement activities. So this is just a sample from across perspectives of the different types of engagements. So we do have lots of poetry writing in there, very personal, like I am, and they write it from the perspective either themselves or someone figure in the artwork. They create conversations between the figures. They write from a figure's perspective. They stand like the figure again. They compare and contrast lots of artworks from across cultures and time periods. They create a shape poem that's filled with different spaces. I really like that one. I had fun. I made a sample. I don't have it here with me, but that one was a lot of fun because you have words going everywhere. So the words become the art. And which a lot of these activities are the engagement activities. Some of them kind of turn into little mini artworks in and of itself. So it's fun to see how all that plays into a larger project. They interpret poetry and discuss how it applies to their own life. They even draw portraits of themselves and fill it with compliments, because we talk about words and how powerful they are and how they can use it to really lift up others up and encourage each other and build a great positive environment. And that's, again, that's just a sampling. There are many, many more. All right, here is a sampling of the activities from the identity unit. And you can see, you're kind of building on identity. What is it? What do I picture myself? What would it look like? How can you brainstorm your discussion guide, and then writing poetry. So very, very cross-curricular, where you're building in all kinds of writing and critical thinking and all that. And these are the kinds of things that we would hang up in the hallway next to their art and let people see like the entire process that the students were going through. And then we move into extend, where you've taken all this, now you're extending it into the actual art making. And so here's a sample of the directed projects, where it gives you a lot more step-by-step. So if you're unsure how to do this, like here's an idea, we walk you step-by-step on how to create this project. So they make ready-made sculptures, they make sketchbooks from scratch, which Chris and I did. We have fun. I love the sketchbook units. It's fun. I've made so many sketchbooks. So they're a lot of fun. So you're teaching them an entire other skill of bookmaking, almost kind of a lost art, but it's a lot of fun. They're learning about how to observe and draw, expressing strong emotion through their art. You've got dynamic self-portraits, low relief art boards, reimagining natural objects, and focusing on rhythm and movement. So it's just a sampling. So it's a wide variety of things touched on. And then the choice-based projects are more kind of the theme, like you get your overall idea and then release the students to go and create according to, however you would like them to. So, if you have a tab classroom, this could work. If it's somehow bridged in between, I had kind of a bridge classroom. It wasn't fully directed, but it wasn't fully tab, but we would kind of have this idea and then release them to go create within this idea. So they explore journey and human connection and self-portraiture, community, environment. There's a whole unit on looking at non-Western cultures and maybe cultures that are lesser known, and really digging in and diving into things that maybe we don't hear a lot about, incorporating text and imagery. So kind of that graphic element, and then social issues.
I like the choice-based as well, because if you get into, well, you might have to do hybrid at some point, teaching, or if you do go back to any kind of virtual setting, it gives some options for students to really use their imagination and utilize what they have in their house to create.
Exactly. So they're not tied to a specific thing. So again, it's made to be flexible to fit with you and your needs and the structure needs of your classroom. So it's more like it can be used as guidelines, or it can be used, exactly as is. So with that, here's an example of an and identity project. So they've got the project planning guide to get the students start thinking about, brainstorm, what are they going to do, what's their themes, ideas, that sort of thing. And then they make the project, and then you have your reflecting. So we did put it into a format. So if you want to, you can hand the students this sheet and you can go straight off of that, or you can adjust it however. But I love this where the student was bringing in all of these other elements of things that meant something to her, that had incredible value to her. And so I loved hearing her talk about what each thing meant as she was drawing it in. And it even has her fingerprints. She used her fingerprints as texture. So it adds all this extra meaning and layer that, I would have her write about. And, you're able to connect with it so much more. And you think about how complex we are as humans, it's not just one or the other. We've got all of these little facets and all of these things that are playing into who we are as a person. And so I really enjoy this project, and love seeing what the kids come up with. And then, like I said, we always come back to that reflection component. What are they doing and why are they doing it? Like, what guided their thought process, and how do they solve a problem? Or, if something wasn't working right, how did they go about solving it? And within that, you have a lot of SEL connections with the social emotional learning. Like, it's really great that a lot of that is built in all throughout this curriculum. And students are learning how to, talk and interact with each other, and how to have safe discussions about things that may be a little bit uncomfortable, but how to be respectful with each other, and value everyone's opinions. And
this is really on the top of many school districts, like goals and initiatives. We've been hearing that from lots of administrators, that equity and diversity, and the conversation around that. And it's great because some of the ways in which you do it in Perspectives and World Mosaic are just a wonderful opportunity. And like you said, it's this safe environment, and an environment that is always positive. And I shouldn't say always, because certainly if somebody has something to say, you're not going to not allow them to say a negative thought. But the nice part is you have some control over that environment, and if there seems to be somebody with a particular problem within the school, you have an infrastructure of help for that. So it's just really a good opportunity. And it looked like somebody had their hand raised and I missed it. So feel free to type it in the chat if you can. I'm sorry, I missed that. All right, well, if you think of it, type it in the chat or get back to us, or the questions, and we'll answer.
Great. So yes, regarding the reflection, like you can see that it encourages a lot of growth mindset and deepening their thoughts and expanding their skills. And that goes beyond, those are skills that go far beyond the art classroom. It goes throughout their school and around life. And, as they grow into adults, those are really great skills to have. And all of that, really is built in and you don't even realize it. So here's a sampling of our reflection activities. So each unit has specific reflection questions that tie it back to the theme and help the student really internalize what they've learned and everything that they've looked at in the process of creating, and again, what they made, why they made it, all of that sort of thing. We also have, in addition with the reflection questions, student curated art shows, collaborative installations, artist statements writing, verbal and written critiques, presenting in front of peers, admin, and parents. So it's more than just those questions. What else can we do with this? How far can we push their learning and their skills and their thinking with all of it? Then with that, you even have bonuses. So we have an art discussion training for the teachers on how to lead a really powerful art discussion. And Cindy goes into in depth on how she structures it, and it works really well. Then we also have an elements and principles printable pack, so you can print it and you can give it out to your students so they can use that to help with the discussions, or you can help them the resource can help them, write artist statements or whatever else. So it's just a great resource to have. And then we've also included the art appreciation worksheet bundle, and that is made up of 25 worksheets that can be subbed in any unit, any lesson, anytime. And there's a lot of there's poetry writing and character analysis and narrative writing, and there's one called like Roses and Thorns. What are things that you like and what are things that you don't like? And even Twitter perspectives is, if this artwork had a Twitter account, what might they say? And so there's some really fun things, but it's all designed for that deeper learning. But that's again, they can be subbed into any activity across perspectives or mosaic, either one at any time. So if you need to stretch out a lesson, you can always throw that in, or if you prefer one of those over what was added in initially, you are more than welcome to do that. So what other questions do we have right now?
So while you are thinking of some questions, and feel free to, oops, we've got one. Is there something specific I can send my curriculum director to show her this information and get her on board? Yes, shoot me an email at kbaki@nascoeducation.com, and I will type that in there. And I've got a super short presentation that's about 5 minutes long of sort of some of these slides, not all of them. We've kind of compressed them all together. And I've just done a voiceover to give a quick overview, especially to a principal or an administrator or a curriculum supervisor. I also have a handout, but if you shoot me an email, I'm more than happy to get you any of the information that you need. It is absolutely a smart idea to take it to your supervisor, because there's a lot of money right now for curriculum out there. And rarely ever do they have you take it out of your art supply budget, because there's this other budget for curriculum. And when I say this other budget, it's not like some magical budget. Every district is different, and grants and different funding, but there is money out there. So I would definitely encourage, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? Somebody says no. But I think when they start hearing about the social emotional learning, when they start hearing about the cross-curricular, it's such a well-rounded program that sometimes for the value of it, it's hard to say no. So I will talk a little bit about that. The curriculum costs $1,000 for a year subscription. And it's the full year. And it gives you the rights to all the lesson plans, into the artwork, and all the resources that are in there. It's a site license for your whole school. So because of that cross-curricular, if you want to partner with the language arts teacher, or, social studies, I think would be a good one.
Mm-hmm. Oh, for sure. Because you're looking at things.
They will be able to go on and use that too. Absolutely. It's housed on a platform of NASCO's that delivers the curriculum to you, but we have added all of our professional developments, webinars like these. I do Maker Monday webinars, which, to tell you the truth, you can see we've been celebrating a year's worth of those. Another webinar coming up on Monday on the Community Circle Project. So lots and lots of content that comes on that platform. In and of itself, it's a subscription. For a school site, it's $2,500, but it's free or no charge when you buy the curriculum. So if you purchase Perspectives for $1,000 or World Mosaic for $1,000, the NASCO platform comes at no additional charge. So you get hundreds more lesson plans that, quite honestly, can easily be fit into the curriculum, or added onto it, or used for, fun days or extra credit, lots of stuff like that. I don't demo it during the Art Class Curator webinars that I've been doing, but I believe over the summer, I think I will do some of that because people are real interested. But I love doing personal demos because then you can see it and how it will fit for your classroom or your school. You can also invite other teachers that might use it because you'll get to see a little bit of a glimpse of, science and math and some of that kind of stuff as well. So by all means, if you are interested, we are more than happy to take you on a demo. And yes, you are remembering correctly that there are STEM resources available at enasco.com for sure, and on our platform as well. There's a lot of resources that come right along with it. So when you start sharing with your principal that it not only will benefit the art department, but the whole school, sometimes there's some creative accounting that they can do to say, well, yep, I had some extra money in math or science, and as long as I'm getting math and science curriculum that's added to, the NASCO platform plus this art curriculum, why wouldn't I do it? So, yeah, I'm super excited about it. I have worked at NASCO for 17 years. And while we've always had lesson plans, that's not really curriculum. That's just, hey, here's how to make something. And we've always required teachers to sort of figure out how to put it into their curriculum. Art Class Curator has been in business for an awful long time doing this and doing it well, but they didn't have a full curriculum. And just the partnership between the two of us has been so exciting, and we're really, really pleased about it. Anybody have any other questions?
I did think of something, because we get this question a lot. How would this curriculum, especially the perspectives, fit into already structured classes like drawing, painting, 3D? I'm trying to think what else is there, even like an AP class. So the great thing about this is if you were teaching a drawing specific class or a painting specific class, 3D specific class, you still do the themes and everything. You just have them draw the project instead of do all the other media. You can incorporate the media. Like I had a lot of fun in my drawing classes mixing up the media, and then they would draw back on top of it. So incorporating printmaking and collage and all that, but then they're drawing back on top of it. And that was a lot of fun. So if you teach 3D only, you have them make 3D projects that go with the themes. So again, made to be incredibly flexible and fit with whatever your classroom looks like, however it looks like, however the school is structured, art classes, because we know those vary greatly.
We don't have like a list of the lesson plans, like other than the slide that Jen shared with just a sampling of what they were. We don't have a specific list of them to share.
Themes.
Go ahead.
The themes. I can share that one because the themes would be the list of lessons for perspectives. And then
sort of, yes. And in World Mosaic, the 42 are all centered around the art. And the sketchbooks we don't do with K through 5. 6th grade could do the sketchbooks. You use a needle, and so sometimes at the elementary level they don't want you to use something sharp.
But there are different ways to make the sketchbooks. So you can make kind of the base and then stitch them a different way. So there's lots and lots of different ways. I kind of combined several different processes for the sketchbook making.
And so the one more thing on sketchbooks is we do have, I know that NASCO has a lesson plan, and I'm pretty sure that it's in Nasco Education, at our website, nascoeducation.com, on sort of like bookmaking, that I think is available to download free. If you can't find it, let me know and I'll get it for you. Another question was, if doing tab, could kids do this at their own pace?
Definitely. Definitely. So I think that all kind of depends on like how you structure your class in general. Like if you wanted to just give them the overall lesson, you know, if you come together for one day and then they work through the activities and things at their own process, you could definitely do that. And you could set it up as a checklist and have the kids like check mark as they do things. You could come together and go apart and do something. Yeah. So.
And on the Nasco platform in which it's delivered, there's some learning management system tools that you can even assign some stuff so that you can you can create your own little classroom and keep track of it. Honestly, we find most teachers like to use the LMS system that they have. And so we get it, and it marries pretty well with everything out there. But if not, it's easy to make a classroom list on your account and keep track that way too. So there's a lot of options that you have. I think we're getting close to our time. I would really encourage anybody who's interested to see if they can get, you know, a principal or somebody else, you know, another teacher in the school to set up a demo, because we've just scratched the surface and it's difficult to even put it in anything, you know, tangible to see. And, you know, because it's a paid subscription, we don't really give out, you know, a free lesson plan or anything from there. You know, we try to share as much as we can on the webinar so that you get a good idea of it. But to have that demo really lays it out and really shows you what it's going to look like. And so if you're middle school, we can look at both perspectives and World Mosaic. Or you could choose just, hey, give me a deeper dive on the perspectives. And otherwise, I will just do it for Mosaic or for perspectives. But I love to have that conversation, because as we talk more about what's going on in your classroom, that also helps us. So thank you all for being here. Jen, we were almost worried that like we didn't have enough information, but clearly I knew we would, because there is so much to both of these that I knew that we would.
About it. So, you know, I go on and on.
And such great participation. Thank you, everybody who asked questions, and thank you, everybody who attended. Please, you know, feel free to come back. We're going to continue to do webinars throughout the summer and throughout the fall. It's relatively new, and you know, we want to make sure that everybody knows about it. Feel free to share this webinar with anybody. You'll get an email tomorrow with the recording, and share it out. Otherwise, if you have any questions, I'm Chris Baki. It's kbaki@nascoeducation.com. I tried to type it in several times, so you should have that. And it's pretty easy to find me on the NASCO website too. So thank you so much. Have a great rest of your week. Keep staying safe, keep being happy, and keep teaching art, everybody.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thanks again, Jen.